there was something that Tommy says in that scene that I felt like it kind of just struck me in the moment where he says, I was just like you, doing everything for my brother. He says this to Marshall, doing everything for my brother. And he says, let me tell you, it's never gonna end up good for you. And I was just like, oh God. I was like, dear God. I was like, yeah, his days are numbered. And just like that, we are back. Like cook crack. Welcome to Chronicles of Power, a podcast dedicated to the world of power, where I review and break down the latest episode in the Powerverse. My name is Keemie. I am your host, and we are brought to you by PVT LSTD, all things music, sports, culture, and entertainment. If you are looking for us or the visuals, to this here podcast, you can find us on YouTube at PVTLSTD. Also, for our listening people, you can find us wherever you find your podcast. And today, I have a very special guest in the house with me today who really needs no introduction. His name is Mr. Power Universe, but I know him as Nick. And we are going to be breaking down episode 302 of Power Book 4 Force. Episode title is A Seat at the Table. And my episode title for today is The Illusion of Control. Now, Nick has tons of things to tell you guys. And I want to start off this episode like how we normally do with some news because I saw today that Nick posted some very exclusive news because guess what, guys? Power Origins has started filming. Can Nick tell us some more about that, please? He broke the news today on the internet.
Yeah. I seen the actor who's going to play young Tommy. I believe his name is Charlie Mann. He
Hmm.
posted a picture that I don't think he was supposed to post because he deleted that thing pretty fast. It
Not
looked like
fast enough for Mr. Power Universe.
yeah, not quick enough. It seemed like he was at the table read for episode 1, so it looks like they're going to start filming this week. So I'm super excited for that.
And another part of the news, so the reason why we are recording today is because both of us actually had the opportunity to screen episode 302 early. So earlier in the week, this past Monday, they screened episode 302 at the Paley Fest. And if anyone who doesn't know what Paley is a huge media organization and almost like a museum, not even almost, it is a museum for media arts. And if you want, you can go to the Paley Center and sign up, and you'll be able to have exposure to different screenings like this. They don't only do it for TV shows, but they do it for movies as well. And they have huge interactive exhibits that you and your family can visit. So please go check out Paley Fest or Paley Center, excuse me. But as for Paley Fest, please, Nick, tell me your thoughts about this past Monday. How did you like it?
Loved it. I thought it was super dope. That's the first time I've ever gotten to see actors like on a panel like that and talk about the show, talk about their experiences. So I was super blessed to be able to attend something like that. I hope I get to do it again.
Yeah, I think it was they had a good turnout. I think one of the things that I enjoy, not even think, but one of the things that I enjoy about screening is especially screenings that are mixed. So whereas it's not just people who are within the industry, so to speak, but also fans. You
Yep.
get to see people's real-time reactions to these episodes, to different characters, to lines, and how they work or how they don't work per se, right? And it's curious to see or enlightening to see how the actual actors react to other people reacting to them. They actually watched the episode in the back screening room. I don't think all of them were outside with general population with us, but I did like that they were able to see that because I'm always curious to see how they feel about seeing themselves and watching other people to react to them. Now, before we get any of the other things underway, there is something that I do want to talk to you about because I saw you post something earlier this week after Paley Fest, and let's get to the bottom of that. My man, Nick, Mr. Power Universe, has had some frustrations these past few days, and I can't say that I blame him. And can you talk about that a little bit? Like, what exactly was frustrating you?
Man, I don't know. I just feel like it was like I had a plan mapped out for everything that I wanted to do content wise,
Mhm.
and things just didn't work out the way that I expected. Like I hurt my foot like a week before the event, so I couldn't even walk. I was like bedridden for a few days. Then I got to the event late, so I couldn't see the actors and get those interactions that I really wanted. And then, like we just spoke earlier, like they were there after the event, but I had left because I was mad. And then, a whole bunch of things. Some of my pages started getting flagged, demonetized. So it's been an interesting week for me, but we still here, we working.
That's right. We're still here. We're working. One of the things that Nick is a little too humble to probably repeat, but I'll say it for him. After the screening, we all waited in the theater room, and while we were waiting in the theater room, Nick actually had someone come up to him and recognize him from TikTok, and I was beaming with pride.
Chill, chill, chill,
I
chill, chill.
couldn't stop smiling. We were talking to each other, and he comes up and he says, "Hey, you're from TikTok, right?" And Nick turns around like, "Excuse me, are you talking to me?" And then and then and then the guy goes, he's like, "Yes, I love your content on TikTok." And then they dapped it up and I was just like, "Yeah." I was so excited. I love those interactions, especially for
Yeah.
for other people. It made me feel good for you. So then the next day when I saw that you were saying that you wanted to quit, it took me by surprise because I'm like, did he not see what I saw last night? And to me, I feel like you would be doing yourself a disservice if you were to quit now. You have built and amassed a huge following within the power universe, and not just within power, but within the media arts in general. You react to all things, and people value your opinion. And I think for you to just I think what did I say to you? I think I sent you a text and I was like, "Listen, you're building a ship right now, and if you're gonna let a little piece of wind take you off course, then this will all be for nothing, and I think that you'll be doing yourself a disservice." Thank you today for joining me. He hasn't quit, y'all. We still in
Of
the
course.
building.
We're still
We're still
working.
going.
We're still
But
working.
for today, we're gonna be talking about Power Book 4 Force. So tell me, how'd you feel about this episode? I'm gonna set it all up for you, but like initial thoughts like after Paley Fest.
It was good. I like how Gary Lennon always picks up like right where he left off in the previous episode, and I just really like the performances of the actors. I feel like you can kind of feel that it was the final season. Like everyone was kind of going in, really giving their best, and the crowd loved it. Like everybody was into it. Everybody was laughing, giggling. So I thought it was a really good episode. I think people are going to enjoy it.
I think so too. I think people are going to enjoy this episode. And by the time they hear this, the episode would have already aired. I'm curious to think, I'm curious about some of the scenes in particular in the episode. So I normally start off with three things that I've liked about the episode and three things that I didn't necessarily find too appealing. So here's
Mhm.
my question for you. What are three things that you liked about the episode?
Three things that I like. Well, like I just said, the first one is I like how things pick up right where they left off. Like there's no wasted scenes with that. They get right back into the storyline with Vic and everything and drowning him. I like that. Uh I like the I like the dynamic between Diamond and Jenard. Like how they're kind of getting that brotherhood back in after Jenard trying to take him out in that first season, and they're kind of building that brotherhood. I think Gary Lennon said something about like blood is thicker than water this season, so you can kind of see that. And I just love Tommy, man. Like every time he's on screen, I'm happy. I always love his character.
Okay. Alrighty. So
Yeah.
let me, I'll go ahead. Were you going to say something? I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, no, no. You good? You good?
All right, so let's jump right in. Here's how the episode begins. We start with Tommy, Vic, and Diamond in their little warehouse setup, wherever it is that they meet up to talk about their big drug deals. We see them there. And they not only are there, they are there with Vic, and they're doing a whole torture session with Vic to make sure that he complies with their demands of being a double agent for them and for the feds. The thing that kind of annoyed me or like kind of took took me a little aback by the scene is that they gave Vic the time to take off his shirt in order to torture him. Because after they were done dunking his head in water, after they were done dunking his head in water and they got him to agree to work for both Tommy and pretend to be like he was working for Stacy Marks, he then dries off and puts on his shirt and says he's about to be on his way to Claudia. Now, them striking a deal with Claudia is actually a play for Tommy's benefit. Like we know this already, and that's all because of the triangle. What was it called? I think it was called the Viagra triangle. So
Yeah,
remember in last season, Claudia and her girlfriend they had a set of clubs similar to what was happening with Truth in the original Power. So I'm just giving you guys a brief history of what happened. They had clubs that they used to deal pills out of. So now Tommy wants that territory to be able to leverage that as something else that he has that Miguel doesn't have. And he gets Claudia to agree to come into the fold. He gets Vic to pull Claudia in, even though Claudia tried to set Vic up to kill him, and he then set Claudia and then Tommy set Claudia up to be killed, but apparently she has Teflon skin and she survived. So so now here
right.
we are, right? The stage is set. And in this part of the story, here's where I asked, and I think I at the Paley Fest, I did do the media line or the press line rather, and I was able to ask Tommy, is he a bit of an egomaniac? And I'm gonna let you guys watch that clip right now. Question: how has Tommy turned into an egomaniac this season?
I don't think he's an egomaniac this season.
Episode 2 says otherwise.
Episode 2 does have Tommy feeling some kind of way about himself, only because things are going right. But we know that when things go right in the Power universe, something's going wrong. But I also think that Tommy is not being as upfront as he should be with Diamond, and it really is reflective of his relationship with Ghost.
In a fist fight, who's gonna win between Diamond and Tommy? Yeah, who though?
Let's just say this is the end of the chapter of Power Force, so there can only be one Highlander, there can only be one boss of Chicago, there can only be one Al Capone.
And Nick, I know you watched the clip. Please tell me, do you agree or do you disagree that Tommy is now an egomaniac outside of being under the influence of ghosts?
Yeah, I would agree with that. Like, when you look at his relationship with Diamond and how
Mm.
he's kind of taking control of everything and pretty much just being another version of Ghost and how Ghost treated him, I think
Mhm.
that's a fair assessment. Yep.
But what's crazy is initially when I asked the actor Joseph Sikora if he felt that Tommy was being a bit of an egomaniac, he said no. I had to like double down and be like, well, in episode 2, he's kind of doing a lot here. He's checking Diamond, he's checking Jenard, even though he let he let Jenard get like a little speech off in front of their whole crew later on in the episode. But even that, he kind of is just like, you need to stay in your lane. You don't have to do that. And then remember, in another scene, he checks Jenard again, like, just because you came here this time doesn't mean that this is an open invitation for you to keep coming here again. And yes, we understand that these two have friction, and Jenard is steady on, why do y'all trust this white boy? Why is he here with us? How is everyone else not seeing the things that I am seeing? Right? So Tommy and Jenard, they're still bickering and they're still going at it. And Jenard cannot understand why everyone else cannot see Tommy for what he is. He is a stranger. It's essentially stranger danger. And he just comes into Chicago, builds a reputation by beating a few people up from season 1. And then now everybody is just welcoming him with open arms and saying, okay, come on, you can meet the plug. You can do whatever it is you want to do. And I think that Jenard has valid frustrations here because he was at the helm of CBI while Diamond was imprisoned. And he doesn't understand why his brother is so trusting of this stranger over him, considering he was building out the platform, building out the business, building out everything that they had worked so hard for throughout that entire time. And honestly, sometimes I feel like fans don't get it from that perspective. They just get annoyed with Jenard. Like, even when I read comments, I see people saying that all Jenard does is gossip. Jenard is consistently complaining about Tommy. He isn't worried about the right things, right?
Yeah.
So I have to wonder, like, are people really looking at the characters and the situations that they're in from all angles, or are they just taking things at face value, like, because they have information that the character doesn't have, everyone is on Tommy's side. But
Mhm.
Tommy is essentially taken over what we used to think of Ghosts. Ghosts always kept people in the dark. He lied consistently, even if it was for the person's own benefit, right? And I know that you are a big Ghost fan. I think Ghost is a horrible person. Like, he is horrible. I think Ghost did some
Uh,
terrible things to Tommy too, right? And
for sure.
I'm I'm wondering now if Tommy is essentially doing the same things. And it really feels like he is. Even with his relationship with Maria. Remember how Tommy felt about Ghost getting into a relationship with Angela? He's doing the same thing.
Yep, same
The
shit.
same thing.
Yeah.
The same shit. Literally.
I never thought about it like
See, that's why I'm
that.
here. I'm here to open up
That's
the
a good point.
eyes. I'm here to open them up for you. Alrighty. So everyone now, so remember what I told you guys how I felt about this episode, right? So with the seat at the table, the theme of the episode being a seat at the table, and then one of the things that I am alluding to is the illusion of control. Tommy makes Diamond feel like he's in control, but is Diamond really in control?
Nope.
How do you feel about that? So talk to me about your thoughts on
Nah.
Diamond this episode.
Yeah, I feel like it's the writing is kinda on the wall. Like, they started a little bit in season 2 where, Tommy just kept making decisions without Diamond over and over and over, and Diamond would be like, "Well, come on, like, we gotta talk about this, we gotta have these discussions." But I
Hmm.
also feel like Diamond is a hypocrite too because he be hiding
Ooh,
stuff from Tommy as well, like the whole King Kilo thing and them trying to serve up D-Mac, he didn't tell Tommy about that, you know what I mean? So, it's give and take. I feel like both of them are flawed, but Diamond got to humble himself a little bit because CBI wasn't really popping like that until Tommy came around, in my opinion. So I think he got to chill a little bit.
I don't know. Here's where I'll push back on that. CBI was popping. So, say for and Chris Lofton, who plays Jenard, he brought this part up at the panel at Paley Fest, where he said, if CBI was $1 million company when Diamond went in, over the course of the 13 to 15, almost 2 decades, 13, 15 years, almost 2 decades, when Diamond comes out, what did you think was happening throughout that entire time? It was
Yeah,
built layer after layer after layer after layer. So if it was $1 million business, it then became a multi-million-dollar business. It wasn't as though he was like a slouch or that people looked down on them within the game that they were in. But if we can be honest, to your point, when Tommy came, it did expand because he brought in different connects that they normally didn't work with because we know that the gang arena was segregated. Like, there are black gangs, there are Irish gangs, there are Italian gangs, and it wasn't really a lot of commingling in terms of the power structure. So that's why I keep saying it's all an illusion of control and all an illusion of power, because we think that one group has the power. If we're looking, it depends on from what side we're looking at it, right? Because in Jenard's eyes, he's like, we were fine without this guy. But then Tommy, who came in, is able to see a bigger picture, just like, hey, you guys could be making so much more money if we incorporate other people and try to get plugs from other places. And that's where Tommy shows his value to someone like Diamond, because Diamond has been out of the game so to speak, for some time while he was in prison. And he knows that Tommy has bigger ideas. It isn't just fine with being the big fish in a small pond, so to speak.
Yep.
Any thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. I think that's kind of why Diamond is a little bit more passive when it comes to Tommy and lets things slide because he sees the value in what he's bringing with the whole coalition and everything like that. I I hope they can make things work, even though I
Uh,
don't think they will.
let's talk about that a little bit. Why don't you think that they're able to make things work? Do you think that throughout the remainder of this season and this series that Tommy and Diamond will be able to continue their business relationship, or do you think that there's going to be a fracture within their business relationship?
Well, I definitely think there'll be a fracture. I just think it's
Mm.
only a matter of time. It's building up. I feel like if Tommy finds out that they've been trying to offer up his nephew, well, that relationship is broken, and I don't think that can be repaired after that. So, yeah, I think that's only a matter of time.
Let's talk about the nephew because I do want to get into DMAC. I was going
Mhm.
to wait till later on to talk about DMAC because I wanted to get through Stacy and finish up Tommy's ego, but DMAC is gambling with with no cards at this point. He has no chips, no cards, no nothing. And the reaction of the crowd when they realized that DMAC came into the gambling spot with the shiesty mask on and his dreads kind of poking out. Like you could see the shape of his locks through
Yeah.
the mask. Everybody groaned when they saw him come through. Just like, oh my gosh. Like there's
Again?
just some people that you just want to shake, right? So
Yeah.
let's set up the scene between DMAC before we get to the gambling, before we get to the gambling spot. Mac, his story, it hurts. It's like there's kids that have it within them, especially because we found out how gifted he was, how smart he is in terms of numbers, but he doesn't want to go to school. He tells his uncle that they're forcing him to cut off his locks, and he says he doesn't want to do it. So let's set it up. He's hiding out at, oh gosh, what's his friend's name?
Marshall.
Ahmad's character. Marshall's.
Marshall.
He's
Yeah.
hiding out at Marshall's house. Tommy comes banging on the door. Marshall is pretending his shirt is off. He starts taking his shirt off, and he's lying to Tommy, saying that he's done with CBI. At the end of all of this, he finds him in the closet hiding, and there's something that Tommy says in that scene that I felt like it kind of just struck me in the moment, where he says, "I was just like you, doing everything for my brother." He says this to Marshall, doing everything for my brother. And he says, let me tell you, it's never going to end up good for you. And I was just like, oh God. I was like, dear God. Once I
Yeah.
heard that, I was like, yeah, his days are numbered because everything, especially in the last season, if you can go back to any episode within the Power universe, every single word is intentional. They are not just using filler lines here. Everything is intentional. So when he said that to Marshall, I was like, yeah, this is a sign because these two, although they have a good relationship now, we always know that by mid-season, there is going to be a shift, that there has to be some conflict that they give the characters so that it keeps the story rolling, so to
Fact.
speak. Right.
Yep.
So once he said that to him, I was like, yeah, something's going to happen to either one of them. I don't know if DMAC is going to make it. And maybe at the end of this episode, we can do our little predictions for the rest of the season. And I hope you have some good predictions for me.
For sure.
but,
For
but,
sure.
um, but when he said that, I said, this isn't going to end well. And then by the end of this episode, not only does DMAC put himself in jeopardy, he also puts his friend in jeopardy by involving him in robbing the gambling spot. So they take money from these people. They also take I'm trying to think what kind of drugs was it, because it something with fentanyl, or was it like a higher level of fentanyl? That part I didn't understand, and I may have to watch the episode again. So if I am wrong, guys, I will come back in episode 3 E303, and I'll correct myself, but I believe it was something laced with fentanyl or some higher dosage of fentanyl that the Asian gang members or the Asian people that they were robbing from had higher access to. Now, so they robbed there, and of all the people that was in the gambling spot, he punches the only black kid in the chest and tells him, "You come with me." I was like, I was like, listen, he should have just wrote a note or put it on his forehead and be like, listen, I robbed your spot. I was in there
Uh,
with him. I'm a part of this. So let's come and get me later. Come figure it out later and come back and get me, because I was just like, Lord have mercy, D-Mac. This is the worst thing you could do. Of all the things you could have done, you could have just I, you know what? Let me stop. I'm gonna stop, because at that point, because that was one of the things that annoyed me about this episode. I was just like, why
yeah,
is he on intent on trying to get himself killed? Like it's one thing if you say, oh, I don't want to go to school, or I don't want to go to this school. Another thing if you say, I'm done with CBI, to which he lied, but he also doesn't realize that he's being set up for the okie doke with Diamond and Jenard, who were just pretty much holding him off as food for slaughter, as for the pig for slaughter. And his uncle is trying to warn him, you don't want to be in this. And he's
facts.
worse than Tariq.
Yeah, he is worse. He is worse.
So
Yeah,
then here's how we we can like sum up his part to this episode and within this whole seat at the table drama. His uncle doesn't want to give him a seat at the table. He is steadfast in trying to get a seat at the table. His mentors, so to speak, Jenard and Diamond, who he believes has his best interests at heart in joining CBI, also don't want to give him a seat at the table, because why? Like Tariq, he was ill advised, thought he could do more than he could. It's smart, right? But isn't as smart as what he thinks he is, especially in that arena. And he's a fuck up. Like,
yep.
I cannot, I can't, like, I just, killing Mad Dog, the cop, and they're trying to hide you. I just, like, you got to give me something to work with here. A little bit. Like, you have to give me something to work with. In addition to that, and I think I text you at this point, if my man, or who wants to be my man, showed up with a journal from Amazon, riding a new bike that he bought, I'm popping tires. Like, there's no way. No, no way. And then she takes it, and it's just like, I'm not saying you can't be appreciative, but I mean, within range, right? How you gonna show up with a new bike and then come give me some tattered book that you found on the corner and then be like, oh, well, you my girl now, or I want you to be my girl. I miss you so much. I'm sorry that I didn't call you for the 4 months that I went missing when I was hiding out, when I killed the cop, and my uncle and them are trying to protect me. All you come back with is a journal for me? Nick, you're not
Yeah.
saying anything here, and it's scaring me. Did you think that
Done.
that was okay? Because you didn't even respond to me when I was texting you in the moment.
No, I didn't even. Well, yeah, but I didn't even have no service in there. First of all, like my
Okay.
phone was tweaking. Yeah, but also I feel like he shouldn't even approach her to begin with, because that's just another person he's putting in danger. Like, you already moving hot right now. But I do think that's kind of wild. You got all this money, you giving a little notebook, but baby steps, right? You know, you don't want to flex too hard, because then you set the expectation, the bar way too high. You know.
I'm about to yank my hair out. Baby steps. If it was baby steps, you wouldn't have come there. Like, if you need to dial things back because you don't want to make it too hot on yourself, that part I agree with,
Mm,
right?
yeah,
But then you don't show up in a new dirt bike, right? Like, chill, Meek Mill. You not like, why do you have that right now? If you want to stay low, stay low. You can't do two things at one time. It's
yeah,
either you're
agreed.
Meek Mill or or, or you're just regular Joe Small. You can't
Yep.
have it both ways. And you're right. This is something that I think that he or the character is not considering is that you're putting a lot of people's lives at risk. And that's one of the reasons why we think that he's so inexperienced and just reckless because Marshall, his uncle, himself, his girlfriend or his proposed girlfriend, he's just racking them up at this point. And you know who we haven't thought about this entire time? His dad. We haven't
Yeah.
well, his we haven't seen JP in episode 1 or 2. So I don't even know where he is at this point, but
Budget
hopefully we
cuts.
see him in episode 3. Wait, say
Yeah.
that again?
Budget cuts.
Yeah, but I mean he didn't have he wasn't in every single episode last season or in season 1. So we just have to fill in the blanks with him, but he is coming. I know that he did film for this season because I remember
Yeah.
seeing him at the Force rap party. So he definitely is in the season. So I wonder what type of danger he's putting his own father in with all of the mess that he's getting himself into. But let's go back a little bit because I got sidetracked with DMAC and we talked about Tommy's ego and the empire that he's trying to build and how he is almost a replica of Ghost in terms of the mistakes that he's making and how he is moving throughout the organization. But let's take it back a few notches, right? Let's talk about some of the women in Power Universe. First, Stacey Marks. What are your feelings on
I'm
what's your
sorry.
feelings on Miss Marks?
I've never liked that character. Like, to this day, something about her just I can't even explain it. It just throws me off. Like, she's just annoying, you know? Like, there was certain Power fans that I didn't like, but Stacey Marks is just like, "Why are you here? You're not getting anything done." I think it's because she's just thirsty, you know? Like, she had all these people in custody, and she's still trying to get Tommy. I'm like, "You already won. You're taking it too far now. You gotta take it back." But I think she'll reap what she's sowing eventually.
You know, so Stacy to me is similar to all of the other law enforcement characters that we've had within the Power universe. To me, she's no different than someone like a Sax who was able to get Lobos, right? They did get Lobos. Sax was still hell bent on going after a Ghost. Like he was just like, no, 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 no. That is not our issue. Sure, we got the cartel, but we need that guy because they have a vendetta against them because they found it personal that this person or these two entities were able to outsmart them. So then they want to get back after them. In terms of her being annoying, here's what I find about Stacy, right? She is juggling she's juggling things in her personal life and her professional life. We saw in this episode that not only was she served divorce papers, but she was also given the chance to, I think last episode we found out that they do want her, they do want her to run for mayor. And because of her political ambitions and because she was able to catch the cartel, this is giving her some leverage at work. So although Tommy was able to slip through her fingers, she's still ambitious enough to want to be the mayor. And she's still ambitious enough that she still wants to get Tommy, which is why we're able to bring Claudia and the Viagra triangle into the fold. Now, in terms of the divorce papers being served to her, did you feel any way about that when you saw that in the episode? Did you think that that was going to slow her down a little bit? Because I thought
Nah,
so.
not really.
No?
Not really. Because it seems like she's career focused, and that's what she's prioritizing anyway. So it seems like she's willing to sacrifice her marriage. And even there was a scene where he asked her, like, "Do you want me back because you want good optics for being mayor, or do you really want to be with me?" And she ain't say nothing. So
She was like,
that spoke volumes to me.
and
You
then
want
at the
that
end of it,
bag.
she be, and then she was like, and
That shit
everyone
was
in the theater
cringe.
busted
I
out
don't know what that
laughing. It was
was.
like, bitch, are you serious? But to your point, you're right. Like, she is completely career focused. She couldn't even answer him with a straight face and be able to even lie to him and say that I'm not trying to save this marriage just because of my political ambitions. And I'm glad that her husband was like, he stood his ground and was able to ask her, like, listen, it's weird not being with you. We've worked a long time on this marriage, and just to give up like this doesn't feel right. But she also set him up and pulled the rug from out under his feet and sabotaged his career because of her own ambition. And I think, wife, friend, or not, you doing that to someone who is a colleague of yours, they're never going to trust you again. So I can't imagine what it would be like to also be in an intimate relationship with that person who just set you up like that. So is he within his right to ask for a divorce? I think so, because she'll always put the job before him. Now, fun fact, for the actor who plays Stacey Marks's husband, did you know that he actually tried out to be Tommy in the original Power?
Yeah, I seen he said that on a podcast. Was it the Crew Hazard or something? Yeah.
Did he? So so I went
Yeah,
to another event and Joseph Sikora was actually talking about that. He was talking about him possibly playing that Tommy, and I could kinda see it, especially, like, if they colored his hair, but
yeah,
whatever the case is, I'll leave my question off to you is, do you think he was right to file for divorce? And you say
absolutely, absolutely. I think he should have did it earlier.
Okay, why?
Once I was it I think it was last season when one of his friends or coworkers got killed, and she
Mhm.
was still trying to, like, pursue this case, and he was like, "Yo, like, one of our team members just died, like, you're still thirsty for this." That's what I would've been like, "Yo." And me personally, I wouldn't wanna mix business, work, and intimate relationship, like, I just don't think that's ever gonna work, especially when she's in a position of power and you're not. Just walk away, bro. You know, she don't want you no more. She don't want you. She don't want you. It's okay.
Oh, oh man. Speaking of positions of power and, setups, let's talk about Shanti. Now, I was
Mm,
surprised you said that Stacey Marks was the person that annoyed you because I feel like Stacey Marks is just doing her job. But in terms of
yeah.
characters that annoy the living hell out of me, Shanti
She's definitely up
Showstopper. Oh my gosh. She
there.
she annoys me more than Blanca. And I never thought that nothing in this world could annoy me more than Blanca. Between her trying to talk through her teeth like this, like that, like I couldn't take it. But Shanti,
Yeah,
here's what our friend is trying to do, right? So Shanti, she's still working her manipulation game like a pro at this point. She's feeding Jenard and she's on the other end. But what she's doing with Jenard, I don't see her making it throughout the rest of this season because she still wants Jenard to kill his brother. That is wild, right? They just lost their dad. They didn't have their mom around. His brother just came out of prison and you're asking him, and he had an addiction problem, and now you're asking him to kill the only family member that he has left on this earth?
yeah.
What?
She's tripping for sure. She's tripping. It's funny
And
because I
it's
made a video about this saying
You did?
that, like,
Okay.
I thought she was too, masculine and, like, how she's too controlling, you know? And I feel like Jannard, I feel like he just lets it slide because he don't want no rift, but eventually it's gonna come to a point that he has to make a decision. I don't think there's anybody that thinks that he's gonna pick Chauncey over his brother. So,
Mm.
we're gonna have to wait and see what happens, but she gonna go. She gonna go.
Well, she's
She
feeding
gonna
Janard that
go.
she is I don't think that she's gonna make it out alive, right? Like, that's one of my predictions. But she's feeding Janard this whole menu of You could run this whole thing. We could do it together. And essentially, that's feeding into his ego because he knows what he was able to do when Diamond wasn't there. So she's pretty much playing him like a fiddle at this point because she knows that he wants validation for the work that he did, and he is continuing to seek validation from her and possibly even from people like Tommy and Diamond because he wants to feel vindicated in a sense for all of the work
Yeah.
that he did put in. And to me, that's classic Shanti at this point because she's been doing this ever since we met her. She's like, well, why are you even playing a game with this white boy? And he's like, that's what I'm trying to tell everybody. Like, so, so she's like, I know that's what you think because I think that too. And because I think that, like you think that, you should be the one to take all of this over because you've been doing that, right?
Yep.
You was
Yep.
always here, right? And why do you need somebody else to tell you what to do? We can do that. We should be in the meeting with the plug. Why can't we do that? And then he's trying to explain to her, well, only the higher ups could do that. And why aren't you a higher up? Why aren't you with Diamond and Tommy? You see how people get you in
Yep.
trouble?
Yeah.
Oh, the tragedy.
Yep.
Let's talk about Jenard and then I'll wrap up. I'll do the three things that I liked, the three things that I didn't like. But Jenard's story, I wonder if it's gonna end like what type of tragedy is it gonna end in? He moves with like he's chasing respect, to which I understand. They all do, right? Like they all want to be respected. Tommy may have a little bit on each side, whereas he wants to be respected and feared in a sense, which is why he brought the head in, which was a bad move on his part, right?
Yeah.
I don't know how that's
Yeah.
going to play out for him later on down the line, but those people were freaked out that he brought that head in.
Yep.
Enemy or not, they were just like, why would you do that? And that was another issue with Jenard. Well, not issue, but where Jenard stepped in and said, hey, listen, this is where we have to come together. They took a shot at us, and we have to make sure that we continue to build out the coalition. And every great downfall in power, going back to Jenard, starts with a whisper from somebody who says, you could do it better than him. Now
Mm.
remember, that's what happened between Tommy and Ghost. That's what happened between Kanan and Ghost and Tommy. That's what happened because remember, Tasha is the person that was whispering, "You can do it better than him. You could do it better than Kanan." And Kane and they were right because Kanan was a hothead and Kanan wasn't as strategic as Ghost. He didn't have the finesse that Ghost had. He did have sociopathic and psycho killer tendencies, but he wasn't able to finesse people, so to speak, or charm them the same way that ghosts could. So was Tasha right in whispering those things to him? I believe she was, but
Yeah.
that's up for debate. We can always debate about that. But the point still remains is whenever you have that little whisper in your ear about, oh, you could do it better, like Shanti does, like Tommy did, like Ghost was subject to, it all goes downhill from there. And I think that the tragedy of Jenard is that he would be left to watch it all go downhill. He may survive it. It may be something similar like Lamar. Remember Lamar and BMF, your favorite show? For,
Stop
peop for
it.
people who are not watching, he's rolling his eyes right now. But
Get out of here.
but I think that if he does survive it, he is going to be left with a world of trouble behind him, whereas he loses everything and everyone around him, and it just sends him into a downward spiral. Any thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. I really like Jenard's character. I think Chris Lofton kind of like talked about it on the panel about how like he's misunderstood. Like he's really just a guy who's mad he didn't get his, and he he's being picked. Tommy's being chosen over him when he's an outsider. It kind of reminds me of like Kane from Power Book 2, how like Tariq popped up and everyone kind of showed all this love to Tariq when he's been there the whole time. I'm like, I get it, bro. I'd be mad too if my brother picked some new white boy over me after I held it down for 15 years. Like, that's why when you said like how fans only see it at face value, I'm like, how do y'all not see the whole picture? Like, put yourself in that position. How would you feel? So I could see it being like a tragic ending where he loses Diamond and he's just kind of the last man standing and everything crumbles.
Yeah, yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
So I don't even have anything to add to that. I think you said that beautifully. So before we wrap up, because I have one final question for you.
Mhm.
The three things that I liked about the episode. I like that Vic went on a date. Even if he's the
Hey, he
even
don't deserve that, bro. He don't deserve that, bro. Come on, bro. I don't
he
know
deserves
why they did
some
that.
love. Like, we haven't seen Vic with anyone since Gloria, remember? So
Very true. Yeah.
I think he deserves some love. Um, Another thing that I liked about the episode, I do think that Diamond is holding Tommy accountable for the things that he does. So I do like that. The third thing that I did like about the episode was I like that Shanti came in to save the day. I have a thing where I like to find redeemable traits about characters that I can't stand. So even though she's telling the person that I do like Jenard, she's telling the person that I do like to do something that I don't want him to do. I do understand her position, whereas she has to be tough in this regard because if not, their business that she is running will get demolished. So she comes in, she beats up the stripper or the escort or whatever this person is, right? It's not really clear.
Mhm.
Bottle girl,
Yeah.
stripper, escort. It's just someone who works in the club. And she beats her up. She finds out that she was skimming money off the top. I did like that part. Things that I did not like. I don't like the dynamic between Tommy and Maria. I I don't like how this is going. I don't like
Mhm.
that she's just in his house waiting for him to pop back up. How are you someone who we thought had ambition, has a job, you know the type of life that he's in, you know what your brother is, why do you want to be with this person? So far, I haven't seen anything in their relationship that he has done for her or that she needs from him, whereas she's so head over heels in love with him. Am I bugging? Why are you holding back?
I don't even know what to say because like you're kind of right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Another thing that I didn't like in the episode, hold on, let me make sure I have it in my notes. Oh, I think I may have mentioned this before. D-Mac getting everyone involved in his mess with the
Yeah.
robbing the gambling spot, hitting the only black person in the spot besides him, and taking him outside with him to take the money. I was like, and then Stacy's Stacy's cry at the end of the episode where she goes like that. I was like, nah, son, I gotta get out of here. Gotta get out of here. But so those are my three things for liking and disliking. But my final question to, excuse me, guys, Mr. Power Universe is, who does have a seat at the table?
What do you mean by that?
So we've set up a whole seat at the table of who has power and who does not, right? So I think that from our vantage point that Tommy is kind of at the head of the table in terms of the players that we know, but is Diamond there? Is Shanti there? Is Claudia there? Is Jenard there? Is DMAC there? Like, who still, within this whole power struggle, who still has a seat at the table?
If I'm being honest, it's really just two people, in my opinion, and it's Tommy and Shanti because yeah, yeah, because Tommy's always gonna be Tommy. It's his show, so he's gonna run shit. Like that's just the default. But when you look at Shanti, like her manipulation of Jenard is leading to a rift between Tommy and Diamond, which will ultimately lead to Jenard being in some form of power, which really isn't his power because Shanti's the one controlling things from behind the scenes. So Shanti been plotting for a minute since she hit the scene. So I think she's in good position for now. She's playing both sides with Tommy. Like she's in good graces with everybody.
I agree. I do think Shanti is at the table and people just don't realize that she's there. I
Yep.
think she's all the way at the other end and people are calling down to the server and they just don't see that she's sitting at the end of the table. I think that you're right.
Yeah.
I do think that Stacy's husband is at the table. I think that
Uh,
he has a lot of power right now and she just doesn't realize it, or maybe she does, because when she was speaking to the campaign manager and they were telling her about starting the vetting process, something is going to come out that she isn't aware of because they said, the boys in blue, they like to play rough. Is there
mm,
any drug scandals, any other things that we should be made aware of? And I think that she may not know all of the things that her husband may have been involved in. So we'll see how that plays out. And I think that he holds a lot of power within their relationship structure because she needs him to be on board in order for this mayoral run to be a success. And right
yeah.
now, she does not have him at her side or in her corner because she's essentially snaking him out for her own ambitions. And I feel like the cards are in his hands in terms of how successful she'll be outside of her own ambition.
I have a question of my own for you.
Okay, go ahead, hit me.
So you mentioned the whole relationship with Tommy and Maria and how it doesn't make sense, right? So just based off Tommy's history with women, do you see this relationship like working? Like is she going to survive, or you think it's going to be much of what we've seen in the past?
Okay,
Why you lean back like that?
I lean back like that only because from the other relationships that we've seen of Tommy, his mother was always there. And right
Mm,
now, Kate is not there in his ear or in their ear, meaning the love interest's ear, talking about Tommy,
mm,
asking them how can they deal with Tommy. And Tommy isn't looking for validation from his mother in terms of who he likes this
mhm.
go round. Also, there's something that I noticed, and I could be thinking about this too deeply, but remember, Tommy used to have sex scenes, or the actor that plays Tommy used to have sex scenes, right?
Yeah.
We haven't seen one with him and Miranda. So that either tells me that he's making a lot of money right now and he doesn't have to do it anymore, or, you know, or they're trying to hold out on it for a bigger payoff at the end. So I think she'll be around because of one, we haven't seen any sex scenes with her. Two, we haven't seen Kate's opinion of her. And three, because Tommy is pretty much protecting her in ways that he didn't protect the other two people that we've seen him with. So I don't remember him getting security for Holly. I
Yeah.
definitely don't remember him getting security for Lakeisha. So I think she's gonna make it, at least for right now, only because,
Yeah.
like, remember at Paley Fest, Gary Lennon says, I love sex. He says, I love sex scenes. I love, he likes explosions. He likes all of those things. Oh, another thing that I didn't like, that explosion scene when they set the warehouse on fire, I was like, oh my God. Like, I looked back to make sure I wasn't the only person feeling this way. And everybody gave me the same look, like, what the hell? But other than that, I think their relationship, it just feels a little forced right now, pun intended. And
Yeah.
but I do think that she will make it through only, or she'll make it to a certain point because we haven't seen Kate yet. We don't know what Kate feels about her, and we do know that Kate is kind of like a sabotaging factor when it comes to Tommy and his relationships with women.
Yep. 100%. 100%.
Make sure you follow Mr. Power Universe on all socials. He's on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, anywhere you can find him. He is there. Make sure you follow at Chronicles of Power on Instagram and subscribe on YouTube at PVTLSTD for visuals, clips, and next week's episodes. Please drop your power play of the week in the comments wherever you can leave a comment. So, who's moving the smartest right now? Who's not moving so smart? You know our answers to that, but we want to hear what you have to say. So I'm Keemie. That's Mr. Power Universe. This is Chronicles of Power, where we don't just watch TV, we decode the show.